Hey everyone, my name is David Rao and I am the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and Pinterest, and a variety of other places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. Tonight I'm going to be talking a little bit about melodic dictation, rhythmic dictation, body percussion dictation, how you can do that, and how you can do it without ripping your hair out. That's the plan. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. And I'll talk about a use it and a lose it, something that you can use right now and something you should maybe think about getting rid of. That's coming up in just a second. Just in case you hear me talk about a resource, an item, a something cool that you think is fun in these videos and you want to know where it is, I have a whole page on my blog dedicated to the links that I share in these videos. So you can find that when you go to the links page, which is on my blog, makemomentsmatter.org, and click the drop-down tab on video, or just wherever you're watching, listening to this, there should be a direct link in the comments at the bottom of the caption. One more thing. So I'm going to be doing an in-person workshop on October 14th. That's with the Northwest Ohio ORF chapter. It's all about improvisation, small steps that you can take to make a really big impact. That's coming up in just about a week and a half, and that's in Maumee, Ohio, just as basically Greater Toledo. We hope you'll join us if you're in the area. I'll also, the following week, October 21st, be at Wayne State University in Greater Detroit, and I'll be sharing at the Michigan Music Educators Fall Conference, doing 3 sessions there. So if you're in Ohio, Northwest Ohio, and want to come join us for that workshop with Northwest Ohio ORF, please come. You could find ideas about that on my, or links to that, either by Googling Northwest Ohio ORF or on my blog, it's there. Or join us in Michigan. If you're a Michigan music educator, come to the fall conference. It's a great time to network and meet people and learn fun stuff. And anyway, that's coming up in the next couple weeks. Okay, so in a second I'm going to talk about so I'm doing another use it and lose it. My use it tonight is a lesson that you can use in your classroom. I'm using it right now. You can adapt and expand it in a lot of different ways. I hope that you see those possibilities in just a second. The thing that I think that we should lose, and you will see this in my lesson, is this idea that like things need to be perfect. They don't. Okay, so, and by that I mean things in like your classroom, things in education, things in general. But specifically, I think that teachers have this idea that like you want your room to be clean and organized, you want it to be beautiful, you want to have the newest decorations, you want to have all these like glorious things to make your room just fabulous. And that's great. And do that. If that is something that's fun and exciting for you, then pursue that. And I'll say that I try and make my room as inviting and as exciting as possible for kids. But I know that I only have so many hours in a day, and I don't want to spend 5 hours after class trying to make my room the most gorgeous every day. So I know there are limits to that. I think in the first couple of years of teaching, I didn't realize that. I thought my room needs to be like Pinterest ready at all times. Oh, and that is not true. And probably more seasoned teachers, I was about to say older teachers, more seasoned teachers out there are like, oh yeah, no. My room's hot mess express, like most of the time. But I think that there are teachers out there who because they're new teachers or because of like Instagram or social media, have this idea that like your room needs to be gorgeous and beautiful. And as someone who posts on Instagram or like has a blog or whatever, like our room is not 100% beautiful, presentable all the time, and it doesn't have to be. Another example of that, your PowerPoints or things that you share with kids, or like visuals or resources, they don't have to be gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful all the time. If it works and it benefits kids and it is usable, that's fine. You're going to see that in my lesson today. It is not some gorgeous, beautiful, themed out thing. It's pretty basic, but that basic thing, it helps kids learn. It doesn't need to be perfect and Pinterest perfect or TPT perfect or whatever all the time. It can be something basic and simple and still be super, super, super effective. But anyway, just this is me saying again, you do not need to be Instagram or Pinterest perfect all the time. If you're getting observed by your principal, great. Go for it. Have the cleanest, most beautiful desk with a little cookie saying, thanks for coming observing my classroom, or I don't know, whatever you want to do. But don't feel like you need to all the time have everything absolutely in order, because that's not real life or manageable for most people. Okay. Wait, there's some... Oh, yeah. I thought it was funny just a couple weeks ago when my student teacher for the year first visited. My room was, like, pretty good. Like, I felt pretty good about it. And I was like, wow, she's going to have a rude awakening when she's here, like, every day for 6 weeks or whatever, because right now she's doing, like, field experience. She's only there one day a week. And I was like, ooh, well, she's going to see the real room pretty soon. But, like, she came at the beginning of the year and things had just started. Like, I mean, it looked great. But anyway, don't feel that pressure that your room needs to be up to some standard. Please don't rate your room against Instagram or Pinterest or whatever. Please know that what you're doing is probably exactly right for you and your kids and for what you need. And don't beat yourself up if your room isn't, camera ready every hour of the day. Okay, so I'm going to talk, my use it is use the resources you have. And I want to show you a couple ways that I'm using one resource in like 3 or 4 different ways. And I want to just share sort of how this basic resource is being used and utilized for a couple different things. And show you just a way that I do that. So one of the things that I'm doing right now is talking with a couple grades about like dictation, rhythmic dictation, melodic dictation, just the sounds that they hear, how can they write them down? And we've done this a couple different ways. So one of the things that I share with kids, and this is going to be a little, this is David going to try and be very technologically advanced, but it may not work. So I want to show you what kids are actually using. And so you just need to know that like I am projecting up onto my whiteboard and I have a visual up on the whiteboard, but also kids are going to have individual things that they work on. And so here's something I'm going to use to try and show you and help you. So this is like it's made for people who do like blogs for like baking. And basically it just holds your phone above like the surface you're going to bake on or mix something on or whatever. And it basically just points your phone down directly at your desk or your whatever. I love it. I use it all the time. If I'm doing a demo video for kids or if I'm doing a read aloud or whatever, it's really nice to be able to just put my phone in here and it connects to a table, it clamps down, and then just like take a quick video. My phone has a really great camera. Phones do that nowadays. But also it can work sort of as if you don't have a document camera, a lot of times you can hook a phone up either through AirPlay or through a cord or something, and you can use that phone as a document camera, which is what I'm about to attempt. And please cross your fingers. I really hope that this works. Okay. Also, if the sound cuts out, please put something in the comments to let me know. Okay, so let's see if this is going to work. All right, so there we go. Facebook. Let's try and get Instagram going. Okay, so basically what you're seeing is what my phone is capturing right now. So one of the things that I like to do for kids when we're first talking about dictation is, let's see. Okay, so I need to turn myself like this. So imagine I'm at my whiteboard, right? And I'm at the whiteboard and I'm showing them, okay, if we want to write down a ta, okay, well, one way you can do it is to do, oval, stem, color in. We call this standard notation, right? Okay, I don't know if I can zoom in. Hold on, I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm just going to, like, physically get this close. All right, so we call that a ta, right? All right, or whatever you do or whatever you call it. Okay, so this is how a ta might look. Or if I wanted to do ta-D, which is 2/8 notes, I could do oval, stem, color in, oval, stem, color in, and put that beam on top, right? We also know that we can do a simpler way. We can do stick notation. Okay, so that'd be like a ta, right? It's just the stick. And then this is a ta-D. Yeah? Oh, or like if I wanted to do a rest, you could do the fancy one, which is a Z with a C hooked on the bottom. Or if I want to do stick notation, I just do the Z because it's faster. Okay, and so I talk about this, and then my students, we do with actual popsicle sticks. We create the stick notation versions of things. I give them rhythms. They write it down. We create things together. Great. Okay. With actual physical popsicle sticks. Also, I give them a whiteboard and a marker, and I have them create standard notation, and I have them create stick notation. I give them examples, they write it down, they copy down things I've done, all sorts of stuff like that, where they are getting lots of different ways to experience rhythmic dictation like this. So, but in this lesson we review, okay, well, you could do standard notation, you could do stick notation, and stick notation is just standard, but you take like the little note heads off. Well, what if you only did just the note heads? Okay, so if I were going to do that, and I want to do a ta, I would need to do one by itself. If I was going to do a ta-dee, see, that's tricky. You can sort of group them together, but you can't group them too far apart, because if you group them too far apart, is this a ta-dee or is this a ta-ta? I don't know. You really need to be very careful. So when you're doing a ta-dee, they either need to be really close, or in some cases you got to have them so close that they're almost touching. And then see, I can tell this is a ta-dee. Right? And actually, that's what we're going to do today. I'm so excited. So this is what I hand out to kids. I give them this whiteboard, or this dry erase pocket, and inside is just a piece of paper with a horizontal line on it. That is literally all it is. And yesterday on my Facebook page, I shared about dry erase pockets, and this is one thing I use them for. If you have a piece of paper or a handout or something that you want to use with kiddos, but you don't want them to rip up after the first time, put it in one of these. This dry erase pocket, it's not expensive, but it's like plastic. You literally can write on it with a dry erase marker. So here I've got one, right? You can, that's not in great shape. Oh, because it's real old. But anyway, you can write on it with a dry erase and then just wipe it off. I wonder if I have a better one. No, apparently I don't. Okay, well anyway. Oh yes, maybe I do. Let's see. Does red work? Ooh, marginally better. Okay, so the cool thing is you can write on with a dry erase marker and then just wipe off with an eraser or your finger or whatever. So I use these for dry erase, but also I use them just as a way to like quick laminate something. I mean, not laminating forever, but like when I put it in here, it's way more durable. The kids aren't going to mess with it. And this paper is just printer paper. It's not cardstock or anything, but kids can now utilize this and it's not going to get ripped up as easily. Okay, so we had the talk about standard notation, stick notation, and just like dots, right? Well, then I give kids some dots. Now these are just like bingo counters, and on the links page I have put a link where you can get 1,000 of these for $12. 1,000, and you would think that would go a long way. No, I bought like 500, and I had to go back and buy more because like kids lose them, they like put them in their shoe, they eat them. I don't know. They all disappear. Or they just don't spread as far as you think they will when you're handing out like handfuls of them to kids. Like they just need more or want more anyway. So 1,000 of them for 12. 1,000 anyway. On the links page, I also put where you can get the dry erase pockets if you want, where you can get that swing arm thing for your phone if you want. Okay, so if I were gonna do ta 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 dee ta with just dots, you could do something that looked sort of like this. And of course, this is what kids have in front of them. On the board, I have, again, this is me being real and showing you that I don't go crazy with visuals and stuff. I have these legitimately are Post-its. I put Post-its on cardstock, I laminated it, and then put magnets on the back. So like these are great little movable whatever. I didn't have to like, you could die cut this shape I guess if you wanted to, but I just took Post-its because I had them and they were easy. Anyway, so that's what I use on the board, but kids are seeing these dots. Okay, I think sorry. Okay, there we go. So kids have these dots. I have the little magnet things. And this is what we would do. So it's like ta, 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 dee, ta. Easy peasy. Okay, and I say takadini, you might say ta, ta, ti, ti, ta. Or whatever you say. Okay, so that's what kids would do. Now, the first way I say is, okay, if you're going to do this in your classroom and you're going to write your name on the line, your teacher would probably have you do this. I got to remember my dot. Yeah? On the line for your teacher means on top of the line. Now, if you're going to do that with the notes, you would do it like this. If you're doing what you just did on the line. Okay, what if I did this in your classroom? your teacher would probably flip out. It's just hanging under the line like a bat or something, or like an apple on a tree, right? But let's see if you can do that with the dots. Okay, so they do that with the dots, easy peasy, right? And then I say, well, in music, this is very exciting. When I say on the line, I actually mean I want the line to go through the middle of what it is you're doing. When I say like a line note or a line thing, I mean that the line goes through the middle. So if you're doing that with dots, and here's where the cool thing about these transparent bingo chips is, they can see the line going through the dot because the dot is, I mean, the little chip is, I mean, it's transparent, right? Like you can see through it. So they can actually see and do that. Okay, so we talk through that. So that sort of eliminates kids doing stuff like this, mostly, but not completely. I have to talk to some kids. But that fixes a lot of the problems, right? Ta, ta, ta-dee, ta, easy peasy, great. All right, so then I'll give them another example. You know, ta-dee, ta, ta-dee, ta. Okay, clear off, great. What's another? Let's say ta-dee, ta-dee, ta, ta. Right? Cool. And then I'll say, okay, here's another one. So I'll just change, instead of from like me speaking it, it's me clapping it, right? Or something like that. And yes, the first time I don't do like, because they could maybe do that, but the first time they're hearing it without me using rhythm syllables, I give them actually very clear like, with spaces in between, so that they can absolutely hear it. And then yes, I have them clap along and they do it in time and it's not so isolated. Okay, so we do several examples of those. One of my favorite things is I'll say, okay, keep your answer. I'm going to change one thing. Let's see if you can find it. So then they have to figure out that I've changed this from a ta to a ta-dee. That's their job. And then they have to change it by adding another piece on there, right? Okay, cool. So this is a cool, fun, easy thing to do just with bingo chips, one printed line on a paper, and a dry erase pocket, right? And there I am up on the board doing basically the same thing, only I have these laminated Post-it notes with magnets on the back. So instead of bingo chips, that's what I'm doing. When we're ready, then I go, oh, now flip your page over. Oh, ooh, 2 lines. Oh, ooh, okay. I'm gonna let you choose which line you're gonna do. Ta-dee, ta-dee, ta, ta. I don't care, you choose the line. Ta-dee, ta-dee, ta, ta. Boom. Okay, simple, right? Okay, whichever one you chose, this next time choose the other line. Ta, 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 ta-dee. Okay, so whichever one you chose before, change it. Right? Okay, great. And now, now we get into, okay, but what if, you know, I clap it, so I give them a clapping example. I pat it, okay, I give them a patting example. Now I say, okay, great, now actually, I'm going to get specific. Now I have these printed out, just pictures with the hand and the word snap. I have like a fancier, prettier version in this like, thing I made for Teachers Pay Teachers a couple years ago called, ooh, gosh, what did I just do? Sorry. Called like Music Dots. Ooh, yeah, go away. There we go. So called Music Dots is like a pretty version with like the clip art in the Word or whatever. I just don't have that printed out right now. But this is me saying like legitimately, it doesn't always have to be Pinterest ready. Anyway, so what I do is on the board, on these 2 lines I've projected up, I put, let's see, the 2 that I want are these. I've got pat and I've got clap. So I put clap on top and pat below. And then I say, great, now I'm going to give you an example. And just for the sake of right now, which also you could just do this. Clap, pat, if you just write it in, right? Okay, so let me give you an example and you get to dictate it. So they watch me and you can probably hear it. And they should be able to do clap, clap, pat, pat, clap. Now this confuses some kids. They don't know exactly how to do it. And I usually start with an example like clap, clap, pat, pat, pat. Because they don't know how to, they don't always remember, we talked about this in a previous year, they don't always remember how to do this. So sometimes when they do this, some kids will do this. Right? Totally understandable. I know why they do that. But whenever we do our first example of this, I always say, remember, you can't read one line and then the other like it's a book. I know that that makes sense in your head, but you can't do that. You have to read it as if you're reading both lines at once. Okay, so you'd read and go clap, clap, pat, 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 just like that. That is correct. Now, what I could, oh, see, I'm gonna go down. Now, what if I did this? Now I'd get clap, pat, pat, clap, pat. And I give them several examples. We talk through it. If I did this, remember I'm reading 2 lines at a time. If I run my little cursor through to see where we are, it's now hitting clap and pat at the same time. I can't clap and pat at the same time. I'm just not good like that. I can't do that. So this is really not possible. This is as if you think you're going to read the top line and then the bottom line, but you got to read them together. So this is, you know, like giving them the example of like, okay, well, what, you know, how can you do this? So we do this several times with clapping and with patting, and then sometimes I will add in, after a few examples, I'll add in a snap. Where am I going to put that? Well, I put it above the clap line because I demonstrate where I do it with my body, and with my body I clap above where, or sorry, I snap above where I clap. So I'll put that. So then this is where they have to start differentiating by putting something above the line or on the line. Or I could rearrange so that I don't have just something flailing off on the line here. And I could say, okay, well, to make this work, let me make the top line be snap, in between the 2 lines be clap, and the bottom line be pat. So now we're doing lines and spaces if we want to. And then I could do 3 or 4 examples like that if we want. Another thing I love to do, and this is the last example I'll show you here before I, well, not the last, one of the last examples here before I'll show you before I go too far. So we start out with just dots on 1 line, then we do dots on 2 lines. We add in body percussion if we want, but you can also add in, ta-da, solfege. You can add in solfege. So these are from that Music Dots resource I talked about a second ago, and these are just printed out on paper. And then to make them easier to move around on my whiteboard, I put them on the back of some like cork coasters and put magnets on the back. Every time I'm holding those, it feels like Plinko from Price is Right. Because they're like, they look just the right size, but they like don't fall off the board like Plinko. But anyway, so I put these on the board, and so here, I'll just notate it on my dry erase pocket here. So, and me. So the top line is so, the bottom line is me. Well, then that's really easy to do. So, me, me, me. And so then they can, you know, dictate simple solfege. And then again, I could say like, what if I want to do so, la? Where would la go? Well, la would have to be above so, right? So, okay, so la would be up. So, la, me, me, me. Well, I would never do that pattern. So, la, so, me. Okay, well, we could do that. And then, well, I can't, it just like before where I could shove things down for body percussion, I can't just shove them down and move so to in between the lines and put la on the top line, because I know that coming up later is going to be fa. We haven't really done a lot of fa, but I know it's there, so I can't just like shove it out of the way. So anyway, you can have so many conversations about things just by playing around with this. It's very, very simple dictation. I can't get into anything too complicated. I can't really show a rest with bingo dots, but there's a ton that I can do. And then if I'm feeling really spicy and excited, eventually we could move on to 3 lines, or if we're getting really excited, 5 lines in a dry erase pocket. So then this is when I'm ready to do much more complicated work, but it all starts with just bingo chips on 1 line, just with notation, and then we add body percussion, which is a really simple step. Then we add solfege, but only a couple syllables, and just slowly, we add more and add more and add more. Okay, let me switch back to my main view here. So in the last few minutes, I've just, again, with just my phone, actually my old phone, connected through a wire on this little standy thing, that looks like the opening sequence of Pixar or anything Pixar. I basically just turned my old phone into a document camera. It's pretty easy to do. This stand thing is not that expensive, and I put on the links page if you're interested. And then I showed you with the dry erase pockets, which again, not expensive, but make life easy. I could have like gone through and made like a cute thing with like a fun border and like laminated on like colored cards. You don't need that. white paper in a pocket is great. It's great. And you know what? These come in multiple colors. So when we're putting away, I'll say, if you have a blue pocket, come put away. If you have a yellow pocket, come put away. If you have a pink pocket, come put away. And it makes life easy. And it's just with these bingo chip dots too. It's nothing crazy. The solfege stuff that I have, this is from a resource that I made, but you don't have to have this like fancy picture and the word in a nice font. You don't. You can just write SNAP or CLAP or whatever. These little things that I move around that are magnetic to the board are Post-its that I ran through a laminator on top of some pieces of cardstock to make them just a little bit heftier. I've had these for 10 years, like a long time. Okay, then the other thing I showed you was the solfege. And these, like I said, they're like Plinko, but it's just the solfege dot that I talked about earlier from that resource on cork coaster. This is really a review for my kids. Like, we did this in 2nd grade, but this is what we're doing right now in 3rd grade, is like a preview of like the more intense stuff, but it's reminding them of all the stuff they already learned. It's refreshing in their head that they can listen and dictate. It's giving them lots of ways to do that, to dictate many things in one short amount of time. So I'm hitting a lot of standards all at once and a lot of areas all at once, but there are so many more things you could do with this. You could actually have them use like dry erase markers and actually notate, not just use bingo chips. Super easy. You could eventually switch into a 3-line or a 5-line staff. That would be so easy to do. If you want to dictate other things, like the bingo chips are very versatile, but they're great for younger grades too. You could even go younger than this, take out the line completely and just use bingo chips. Or if you have like a heart chart, you could use these bingo chips on there to notate like quarter notes and eighth notes. I mean, there's a lot that you can do with these few simple resources if you want. Okay, so to recap, my use it and lose it from today. My lose it is lose the idea that you must be Pinterest perfect at all times, because you don't need that. And I hope that in my use it in this lesson that you saw that you can use very simple things, maybe bingo chips that you steal out of the math manipulatives closet at your school or whatever. Or, but like I said, I found them online. I put a link on the links page. $12 for 1,000 bingo chips if you don't have to fight the math resource people for those. But these are very simple resources, and you can do so much with them. And I guarantee if you try some of these things, the more you do, the more you will find you can do with these things. So I hope that this tonight gave you a couple ideas of what you could try. All those things are linked on the links page. If you don't see something I talked about tonight, please go and email me and or send me a message, and I will make sure it gets on the links page. But I hope this gives you some ideas of what you can do and helps you relieve a little stress of like, I don't need to be perfect all the time, because no one is. Even if you're like, but on Instagram it looks like, yeah, that's Instagram. That's what Instagram does. But I hope this gives you some ideas of things that you can do in the coming weeks with your kids. Tune in next week for another Musical Mondays, or maybe I'll see you in 2 weeks in Northwest Ohio Orff at Greater Toledo, or 3 weeks for the Michigan Music Educators Fall Conference. I hope I'll see you all there. Okay, everyone, thanks for coming along with me tonight. Have a great night, and I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.